Hello everybody, my name is Gregory Parks. Welcome to CVG-TV and you are watching ConLink. Today with me here on the couch is guest of honor, local personality, host, radio host, and all around geek magnificence. Please welcome Miss Shannan Paul.
Hello, Gregory. I'm excited to talk to you today because normally I'm the person interviewing people. So I was very happy when they said, nope, you get to sit there and give Parks the business about this whole thing. I'm down.
You get to relax. You just get to answer the questions. You get to field whatever ball I toss to you.
I'm good.
It's good to have you here on the couch, and I'm glad to be able to give you a chance to be in the other seat.
Thank you.
So you don't have to do as much work.
Comfy seat it is. Very comfy seat.
So first of all, please tell me your reaction. How are you feeling about being a guest of honor this year at CONvergence, a convention that you're familiar with as an attendee, but now you are a guest of honor.
I am incredibly honored and proud to do it. And of all the years to be bestowed upon this, it means a lot to me that it's our all or welcome year. Because not only what I do in our geek and our nerd spaces, but what I do in our spaces in general, and the kind of space and time I try to make for people and all people. It's very impactful for me to have seen that somebody has taken notice of that, and it's made a difference. Because when I first moved to Minnesota in 1996, I'll be honest with you, the first geek convention I went to and thing here in Minnesota was not inclusive, and I was immediately gate kept, and I felt very othered immediately, and that's coming here from Arizona, which is overtly problematic about so much. But, then my family and I moved here in 1996, and so I just had this idea in my head that it was going to be different, up here, and it felt worse. And there were, it was years that I didn't go back to stuff. And then I had a friend that was like, you should come to CONvergence once it was CONvergence, because it wasn't CONvergence when I moved here. And I was like, nah, those are some non-friendly geeks. And he was like, no, it's different. You should come. And we're going to do a comedy show there. And so I'm just really proud of the direction that the con has taken over the years. And back to your question, I'm ultimately honored that this was the year that they asked me to be the guest of honor. I'm gonna get choked up.
We're talking about conventions and being a longtime convention goer. What was your very first convention that you ever attended?
My mom took me, I don't even know what it was called, but there was, back in the day, there was one that we used to go to at the Phoenix Convention Center when I was growing up in Phoenix. And between that and the Arizona Renaissance Festival, it was like, we're gonna go do this nerd stuff and hang out. And my mom is the main reason that I grew up reading sci-fi and was into comic books and all those things. And the first movie my mom ever took me to was Star Wars. And how my grandma was pissed about that whole thing, because that's not what you're supposed to do. But, that was a big deal, being able to watch that and sitting at home and watching my mom, watching Star Trek, the motion picture.
Going on with this, from the story of Miss Shannan, how did you go from working in an office in Phoenix to making your way up here and now being the person that you are today, being the professional that you are today?
State Fair famous, the fact that I'm State Fair famous now. Or local famous, as Rob Callahan calls me, local famous. I had a job at the bank, and I was working in marketing and kind of moved around. And when I was in college, I was also working as a writer for a publication called Twin Cities Employment Weekly. And so it was my job to go around and interview people that had cool jobs. And I ended up interviewing two people at a radio station in town. And one of them was like, hey, you know what, we need interns, why don't you do this? And I was like, okay, so I got an internship at a radio station in town, and that internship turned into a promotions coordinator job, and that promotions coordinator job turned into, hey, why don't you learn about come over here and stack CDs and figure out how to be on air. And that, just one thing led to another and led to another, and then I ended up full-time on radio. And at the same time that the radio thing was happening, I used to go to a lot of open mics with my friend Michael Libby. And I'm writing a book, and Michael Libby's in the book, because I'd already said, when I write a book one day, Michael Libby will be in the book, and he's in the book. And the reason he's in the book is, he goes, why don't you do that? You should just tell jokes up there. And I'm like, I don't tell jokes, I just tell funny stories to my friends. And Michael Libby said, well, what do you think they're doing? Just make your stories jokes. And people had said things like that before, but they hadn't said that in just the right way, in just the right tone, at just the right time, that it resonated, and I went, oh, okay.
Is there anything else that you're working on right now that you can talk, that you're at liberty to talk about anyway?
Well, you know, I'm really fortunate that, this will have already happened, but I'll get to hang out with Pam Grier coming up in a couple weeks when we're recording this, because Pam Grier is going to be in town at the Parkway Theater doing a 50th anniversary screening of Foxy Brown, and so I was asked to do that, so I'm really excited to do that. The book I'm working on the working title is Liberating Ourselves Through Laughter. So it's an anecdote and memoir-based story that talks about our mental wellness journey and how we can do something. So that's what I'm working on. And my friend Michael Libby is in that book, I told you. Shout out to that. And I was really fortunate. In 2020, I launched a web series, and it's called Comedy Through the Chaos. So it's stand-up and storytelling that talks about the difficult subject matter that we all have to deal with through life. And so I now have a recurring spot at Crooner's Supper Club in Fridley to launch that show. So we did, our first one was on family. We have one that's gonna be on disappointment. So I pick a different topic every time, and then I have my friends who are storytellers and stand-up comedians prepare material or talk about stuff that's in that vein. And then what I like to do is also provide resources to people. So if we're talking about mental wellness, I'll make sure that we give you a resource to go, hey, if you don't have a therapist you'd like to talk to one, here's some suggestions. And to go, there's a lot of us. And that's one of my favorite things about comedy, is to be able to talk about a complex situation, and other people, it's not that we're making light of it, we're more just going, hey, I've been there too. And here's how I got through it.
Final question.
Yes.
Which Star Trek captain would you rather travel across the USA with?
If I'm gonna hang out, I'm hanging out with Commander Sisko. I'm not taking Janeway. I have a really good Janeway impersonation, but Janeway, the reason I'm not gonna travel with her, she's not efficient enough for me, because she could have got that whole ship back if she just would have taken one for the team with Q, and they could have been home. So I'm like, I understand her principles, it's just not efficient. So yeah, if I could go, if Picard I would drive, and he would just read me like audiobook style, like narrations of things, like instead of if it was just him just going, just using that, I'm like Picarding Shakespeare at me the whole time, then that would be my second choice.
Well, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure having you on our couch here in person in our studio. And it's always a pleasure to get to talk and just riff with you.
Absolutely.
It's always a pleasure. Yeah. And we appreciate you joining us here at CVG-TV. My name is Gregory Parks, and we'll catch you on the next ConLink.